Hey guys, and welcome back to this week's card tutorial. Today we're going to be making a really cute and mod style fish scale pattern thank you card. So let's get started. Here are the supplies you need. You'll need blue, light blue, gray, and yellow, some construction paper in charcoal brown. From American Crafts, this is a weave texture cardstock in graphite. This wood grain pattern from my Mind's Eye dolled up 6x6 paper collection. A 1-inch paper punch. This thank you stamp from the Happy Messages set from Stampendous. A wood grain patterned rubber stamp. Versamark ink. An embossing buddy. Clear embossing powder. And then white opaque embossing powder. And then a white cardstock base measuring at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm taking the charcoal brown construction paper and I'm going to go and emboss this wood grain stamp onto it using Versamark ink. I'm going to prep my paper using the embossing buddy. And since this is a large block, I like to go and just turn over the paper and put it onto it. And we're going to take that stamped image and we're going to cover it with some clear embossing powder. And we're set it aside to go and let it cool for just a little bit. So getting all of our colored cardstock and our pattern paper, including the stamp that we embossed, we're going to go and punch out 1-inch circles using our 1-inch circle punch from EK Success. And we're going to punch out about 6 circles for each paper. And then with this blue piece of paper, I've cut out a piece of it measuring at 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to use that to go and be our card base to go and adhere all of our circles on. And then just take the rest and just punch out the 6 circles on there. For the yellow cardstock, you only need about 3 or 4 of them because we're going to be using them as our accent color. So we have all of our circles cut out, but before we go and start gluing them down, I want to go and stamp our sentiment down. So I'm going to go once again prep the paper using the embossing buddy. I've got our sentiment here. And we're going to once again ink it up with Versamark. Perfect. And we're going to be embossing that with some white embossing powder. Okay, we're just going to go and let that cool a bit. So I want to plan out my circles because since we're going to be coming from the bottom to the top, I want to make sure that the rows of the circles are evenly spaced. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of my circles, I'm just going to lay it out and try and figure out where it looks good, like on how far from the bottom I want it to be. Right about there seems good. So I'm just going to mark the top of this row and I'm going to take my T-square ruler and actually I'm going to take it this way. And so that measures right at the 3-inch mark where the top of the circle is. And then you want to measure a 1/2 inch up from that mark and mark that one, and that's where the next row is going to go. And then just keep on going up a 1/2 inch until you hit the top. Okay, right there. So then taking your T-square ruler, then just line up those edges. So when you've finished your markings, you're going to have about 6 rows of, or 6 lines across from there. So what I like to do is I just grab all my circles and I mix it up, just so then, you know, it's not going to go and, you want it to go and have that random look. So mixing it up kind of breaks up the thought pattern where you want to go and think of what circle to put it down, because then you just grab in place. So now I'm going to go and plan out my first row. So I'm just going to take some circles and just line them up and just plan out how I want this to look like. Okay, so when you have your first row lined up, you want to just kind of adjust it and make sure that it's where you want it to be and that circle in the middle is centered. And then just start off with the circle in the middle and grab your glue gun, start gluing away. And then you want to place it down and then make sure that the top of that circle hits that edge. And then the next circle, you want to make sure that the sides touch and then the top touches the line. And then on these edge circles, you want to make sure that you have enough glue on there that it stays, because those edges are the ones that are the most likely to go and pop up. So now with the second row, we're gonna line up those circles again, just to go and see that the pattern looks good to you. And then also, you don't have to worry on these ones, where if there's just a little bit of that blue cardstock showing through, because we are going to go and be trimming this down. But if there's like a huge gap between there like this one, then you want to go and put a circle down. So then with our second row, you want to line up that circle in between the two, so that it's even between the two circles there, and then just nudge it up to go and hit that line. When you get to the top row, just line up that pencil mark that you made up to your grid mat, or if you don't have a grid mat, put a piece of paper underneath and take your ruler and then just go and mark it at your 1/2 inch mark. Now, when I line up mine to the grid mat, it's perfectly 1/2 inch on it, so I'm just going to line up the top of my circles to the top of the page. Okay, so now that our circles are all glued down, you want to trim down the sides and the top, and then have the paper measure out to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So I'm gonna go and trim down my paper and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is it all trimmed down, and now we are just gonna go and put some glue on the back of it and adhere it to our cardstock. Okay, so here is this week's finished card. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and you try this card out. See you guys next week.